Welcome today to the Healing Our Sight podcast. I'm your host, Denise Allen, and I have with me my next door neighbor who just moved in recently. And her name is Rebecca Streeter. As we were discussing our lives, we've discovered that she has an experience with vision therapy, which that's so exciting. Welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you.
So her son Elijah did vision therapy, and we're going to talk a little bit about that experience. He was actually with my first doctor. Well, I have two doctors, and both of them have been on my podcast. Right, the first one I saw was Dr. Price, and that's been a popular episode actually. So that was the doctor that you went to 10 years ago, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And tell us a little bit about how you figured out that Elijah needed vision therapy.
Well, I was working full time, and his dad stayed home with them during the day and then worked in the evening. And Elijah was 5, and he was already reading. He was a very fast learner, and his dad was reading with him and noticed that he turned his head differently. Like the words were on the left, but he was turning his head, um, too much in one direction, like he wasn't really looking directly at the page like a normal person would.
Uh-huh.
And the other thing is that I had gone to, um, I think he had actually been seen by a Friends for Sight, at the school, and they said, "Oh, he needs to go to the eye doctor." And I thought, "He's been to the eye doctor." My other son has an actual eye, it's like a birth defect, but it's shown in his eye and his pupil. It looks like a little Pac-Man. And so he had gone up to the University of Utah and seen like the top pediatric ophthalmologist up there. And I said, "Well, let's just give Elijah an exam too." And of course, when they're looking at, they don't look at letters, they look at pictures and things like that. Because he had one good eye, and he probably could see enough to where he passed the test.
Mhm.
Um, so all these things, and then the school came and said he needs to be seen by an eye doctor. And I'm like, "Oh, whatever. I have him seen by eye doctor. He's fine." Like, you're looking at the wrong kid. So then, um, we went to the convention center down by Southtown Mall, and uh, they had somebody coming around, and some little device that they were using, that they're like, "Oh, can we scan your kid's eye?" I'm like, "Sure. This looks techie, you know?" And she says, "Oh, like, you need to get him to the eye doctor." And I thought, "Huh, that's 2 people now.
Yeah.
Maybe I should go take him." And, and then I had done all this, and then my husband at the time had said, Um, "Yeah, I noticed that he was reading differently." And I'm like, "Why didn't you tell me?"
Mhm.
So, we got him into, a doctor, right in Fort Union, and she basically said he has, she didn't say refractive amblyopia, she just said, I think she just said amblyopia, and he well, he'll never see 3D.
Mm.
And it was like someone telling us that his arm was amputated and he'd never have use of his arm. It was that devastating. I was incredibly upset about it, because she said, "Well, you can put a patch over it and do the patch stuff, the patching, but it probably won't work, and he'll probably just be stuck with this his whole life." And the kids were in karate, and because their father taught. And so I was thinking, That's not gonna bode well for competition, it's not gonna bode well for driving, for other sports." this is going to really affect him his whole entire life. Like, this is devastating. And I had posted something on Facebook, and a cousin that I never see on Facebook, she doesn't say anything. She rarely gets on. She happened to be on after I posted.
Mhm.
And I get emotional because it's like, what are the chances that this woman who I never talked to saw my post the
Right.
day or the day after I had posted it? And her husband actually does eye therapy in Boise and had gone to school with Dr. Price and is it Davies?
Mhm.
And um, told got a hold of my sister because she didn't know my number, and we talk. She said you need to call me, and I talked to her husband. Her husband said, come out right away whenever you can, and I'll do a free analysis and let you know my diagnosis. So we went out there, and he said, yeah, he does have refractive amblyopia, but don't don't lose hope because this is actually an easier one to treat. And he said he showed us around his place and what he does for eye therapy. And we discussed the best person that he thought of to that I should go see. And we set up an appointment with Dr. Price and got him in, and he confirmed the same thing and got him started with eye therapy.
Right.
So that's how it all got started.
So the doctor in Boise was related, basically.
Yes, he's my
Oh.
cousin's husband.
So is that Dr. Scott Lewis?
Yes.
That who it is? Okay. Yeah, and he went to school with Dr. Davies.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Price is he's
He
older.
knew him. He knew him
Yeah.
very well,
No,
though,
they
so I
all
don't
do know
know.
yeah, they're good
Yeah.
friends. Which is awesome. It's nice to be
Yes,
friends with people that you can refer to, right?
absolutely.
Yeah. So 10 years ago, you went and did extensive therapy. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, we were gung ho, really, because if this is going to work, let's get it done while he's young, because they say that he has a better chance of having a better outcome if he starts right away. Because at a certain age, it gets harder for the progress to be so dramatic
Yeah.
and quickly. So,
Yeah. I think it kind of depends because I have had some guests that were older and still had really good results and it didn't take, a great long time. And then other people are still working at it.
yeah,
Right.
it's
So it's
interesting.
really individual.
Yeah.
What did you notice right away as far as the progress that he made?
Um, the one thing that I do remember, I mean, it's 10 years ago. It seems like so much has happened since then. Um, he was just because he was an early reader, and I feel like he's a little bit more mature educationally for his age.
Mhm.
I think that they were surprised by his results and how quickly he was able to have results. I remember at one point that year we had just gone vegan, actually plant-based,
Mhm.
and there was some markers, like they had done some tests or whatever, and for his actual vision. And I can't remember where he was at, but then we had gone plant-based, and then they had actually, tested him again for his vision to see if it had gotten better, and the result within the small period of time was so dramatic that the doctor could hardly believe it.
Wow.
And we hadn't really been doing eye therapy that long. And the whole series of events and the timing of it,
Mm.
I kind of felt like the diet change also had something to do with it. Plant-based diets aren't for everyone, but they absolutely are for a lot of people, and I think that diet plays a huge part in our health and our recovery of certain things, and I think that it absolutely made a big difference for him.
I think that is awesome to bring out. I don't think we talk about that often enough. You know,
Yeah, it's true.
we kind of ignore the fact that we're a whole person and what we put in our bodies is going to affect all parts of our
Yeah, 3 times a day
body.
or more, right?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, he had some really big increases, and the doctor was really, really happy with how things were going.
That's awesome. And how long was he in active therapy?
Honestly, I don't remember. I mean, we were going twice a week for maybe a month, and then every week for probably another 3 months. I can't remember the schedule that they put him on, but
Mhm.
it was a I mean, we were making the drive down there. It's what, like 20, 25 minutes
Yeah.
every, twice a week. When the kids are in school, well, he was in school.
Right.
So yeah, it was a big commitment, and I don't remember how long exactly it was, but I mean, we've been seeing the doctor. We saw him last year.
Mhm.
So and he was wearing contacts at first. But then eventually he got into swim and we changed him to glasses so it would be easier for him to go to swim lessons and things like that. And he didn't want to learn how to put them in. So, um, I want to say that even, last year he was doing some eye therapy, whether it was on the computer. So it's slowed down obviously after, even the first year, but he's supposed to be kind of maintaining that, you know, engagement with his eyes, but,
Right.
now he's a teenager, and he doesn't think he needs it anymore.
Have you
So,
have you looked at some other fun ways of doing it to maybe get some more engagement going?
like, we've bought glasses, we've tried to do, 3D things online. I
Mhm.
feel like it would be so great if they had, um, the the goggles that you put in for the virtual reality. If they could have some 3D programming stuff for there, that would be pretty amazing, some therapy if you could do the virtual reality. That would make it.
I actually do know about some.
Oh, do you? I think that would probably get him going again.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say, we hadn't talked about this before we got on this call, but there is an episode that you could go back and listen to, and all the people who are listening to this could do that as well with Mark. He's in Australia, and he didn't have access to a therapist or a vision therapy doctor at all. And so he created his own program for virtual reality.
Oh,
So
very cool.
called Equal Eyes. So that's something that you could look at,
Oh,
especially if you
absolutely.
already have the goggles and, if he
Yeah.
likes gaming at all.
Yep.
The other thing that I do, and I've talked about this before too, is I watch 3D movies on my 3D TV.
You have a 3D TV?
I
Well, I'm
do.
coming over.
We can have a party. I have six
Yes.
pair of glasses, and we'll just invite everybody.
Oh, very cool.
Have a collection of movies. So yeah, that's one of the things that I did with my daughter when she finished her therapy and she wasn't doing a lot of extra things either. Was our date night. We'd go to a 3D movie at the theater when the dollar movie was still doing 3D options.
Mhm.
And then when that all shut down and COVID happened and all of that, and the movie theater didn't come back, I was grateful that I found a used 3D TV and started my own collection.
Yeah, I would take him to 3D movies whenever I could, but I remember the first one that we went to before he had eye therapy, and we didn't know he couldn't see, and
Yeah,
I don't think he knew
right.
either, but he's like, "Yeah, I don't really like these movies." I wonder why.
That is a good indicator, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. What do you feel like the long-term results have been from finding out about vision therapy and going through that whole process with him?
Well, he doesn't wear glasses anymore. He says he doesn't need them. So I think that is huge. He really doesn't have any visual problems anymore. I mean, it fixed him.
Mhm.
Sure, he's not perfect. He doesn't have 20/20 vision in his right eye, but it's pretty close. And it's I feel like without it, his life would be so much different as far as visually. I mean, even with my own brain injury and I can't smell anymore, I know the difference between having smell and not having smell. But as a kid, he might not ever know the difference between seeing 3D and not.
Right.
And now he can have a full life with being able to see 3D, which will help him in driving, sports, and just enjoying life, seeing
Yeah.
the snow that in depth that other people can't see. It's crazy to think, if you go around and you put one hand over your eye and you can get an idea of what it's like not to see 3D, and you might not notice anything much, but if you did it long enough, you absolutely would.
Mhm. Well, there have been people who've lost their vision in an eye and lost the ability to see in 3D, and it definitely does have an impact. But I think when we just cover an eye, we still have the memory of
Yeah.
what the
That's
3D.
why I say you have to do
Yeah.
it long enough.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can kind of get an idea. It's hard with my nose blindness, it's hard for people to really comprehend what it's like to not smell anything.
Mhm.
And they don't think, "Oh, that's no big deal." And people might think, "Oh, it's no big deal not to see 3D." But if you could just covering your eye, like put a patch on for the whole day
Mhm.
and you'd get an idea. But it's really hard to tell somebody, um, that don't smell anything.
I know.
Y
Yeah, you
you
can't do
could put
that.
a mask over your face, you're still gonna smell stuff, I promise.
Yes, you are. Yeah. Well, and the thing about patching too, if you think about the fact that even though he didn't have 3D, he still had peripheral, right?
Mhm.
So it's still different. And and I didn't have 3D till I was 54. And it's different. You
So is there something that's been, like, the biggest wow for you?
hmm, I think there's just a collection of small things, honestly. But just today, I took my mom to buy plants and I had to back into a parking spot.
Mhm.
And I did it perfectly and I was like, "Oh, look at that." I even got between the lines. I could tell where I didn't know that I could tell where they were, but I got out of the car and I'm like, "Look, I got the lines didn't go all the way out, right?
Uh-huh.
They were kind of erased in part of the stone. So I had to get out and look and oh, I did get right where I should have. That was
So was
awesome.
that something that you couldn't really do very good when you were younger?
I had a yeah, parking was always a challenge. Always.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny how the things that we take for granted and the things that we don't think anything about,
Mhm.
but you having not had 3D vision for such a long time and then getting it, you have a real, um, a view of really what it's like versus
Yeah.
having it and not having it.
And there's still things that I haven't made myself try. I haven't made myself try to play tennis or baseball or any of those games with balls.
Let's go play tennis. We've got tennis rackets.
I
And
don't
Elijah loves to play.
I'll have to think about that. That it was always such an issue that I still have just, I don't know, weird feelings about doing any of those things, even though I should be able to do them now.
Yeah, that would be fun, actually. We should try that because, I mean, I don't play tennis with, real points and stuff. We just play to have fun. So
Yeah.
there's no pressure.
Yeah.
It's actually better if you don't go with one of my children because they're very competitive. So,
Okay, I'll just stick with playing with you then.
okay, we'll just go have fun.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
interesting.
Yeah. So, do you have some advice that you'd like to give to the people who are listening? Probably parents are going to be more interested in, how that went with you parenting a child with amblyopia and getting him to do his therapy and that kind of thing.
Well, I would say for people who maybe don't have any vision problems yet with their kids, one piece of advice I would say is get your kids checked regularly and watch them when they read. There's things that your eye doctor might be able to figure out that you as a parent would never look for. So I would say absolutely get your kids checked regularly, especially the time between um, when they're not reading and they are reading.
Mhm.
And I'm sure it could help other issues with reading and not just anything like refractive amblyopia. It could be other things. And so, definitely for those parents, anybody who's listening, get your kids, get them their eyes checked thoroughly because it's worth it to get started early if
Well,
you have a problem.
and the thoroughly part, I think, is a big deal because my kids got checked regularly. They had glasses, from my youngest daughter had glasses from the time she was 3, just like I did. I knew she was like me. And the doctors never said there was anything we could do because even now they're not recommending vision therapy.
Right.
And that's why going to a developmental optometrist is so critical. I didn't catch my son's um, convergence insufficiency till he was 15 when he was not going to do therapy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely easier when they're a young child, to get them to do eye therapy. You have bigger carrots at that age, for sure.
Yeah.
And for those who, even if your kid is motion sickness, I know that Elijah can, just soon after he started eye therapy, he could sit and play on his phone or read a book through a whole um, drive, a road trip. But Nikolai, his older brother, couldn't put his head down for, you know, 2 minutes and he would get sick. But there are exercises that you can do even if your child doesn't really need eye therapy. If they're motion sick, I think we did maybe a week's worth of eye therapy with Nikolai.
Mhm.
There's some exercises that Dr. Price had given us to help him with motion sickness, and swear they worked quickly. And now I never hear him have any problems. And he's an avid reader and he reads in the car, or they'll play chess or something, some game on their phone together during a long road trip, and he doesn't get sick anymore. And it wasn't an age thing. It wasn't that he grew out of it. It was really specifically timed to when we started doing just like a week's worth of exercises. I swear we weren't really fully committed. He wasn't fully committed because it's just motion sickness, like, it's not required kind of thing. It made a huge difference. So I know that I still get motion sickness in the car, and I could probably maybe help that. It'd take longer than a week, but if your kids get motion sickness and they wanna read in the car, there are things you can do, and making a couple, appointments at one of these doctors, at least if, you're here in Utah, you bonus, there's a couple places you can go, and if you're anywhere else, find someone because it's worth it. I mean, how often do you get motion sick and you're motion sick for hours? Like, that still stomach, you know, throw up feeling is there with you long term. It doesn't go away in 5 minutes just because you stop reading in 5 minutes. It lasts. And that's no fun when you're already in a car and it's boring and you want to be at your destination. Um, for those that really need the eye therapy, it might be more than you want to pay, and insurance might not cover it. They didn't for me. They said that's one of the frustration things is that initially they said they would cover it. And then when I called back, they said no. And I don't remember why. And I get extremely frustrated with insurance and things with medical billing that it caused me so much grief. And I mean grief by stress and frustration. And for me, I cry when I get frustrated. That's my trigger. And it was so frustrating to deal with. I literally just had to say, if I want to keep my sanity, this is already really hard because it has to do with my kid.
Yeah.
But if I want to keep my sanity, I have to let it go and just pay for it
Mhm.
because I will be so frustrated and so annoyed with these insurance companies that it's going to literally take years of my life. So I just sucked it up. And luckily, you don't have to pay it all at once. I think that if I remember right, we paid like every time we went, every session, and it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's it's probably more worth it than braces because braces you could do really your whole life if you get a job. A lot of insurance companies will pay for it. Um, but for a child to go through and not have 3D vision, it's I think it could be really hard. And think about sports and driving. I mean, having a teenager, trust me, driving is stressful enough. If he couldn't see 3D, I think it might be might be even more challenging and more dangerous, really. So, um, it's definitely worth it. Fight if you can, fight the insurance company because if the doctors are saying it can't be treated and this is the only thing that will work, then it is a treatment that insurance companies should pay for.
Yeah.
And I know that Scott Lewis in Boise, he's got people coming hours
Mhm.
to come to his because there's nobody else there.
Yeah.
And they drive hours to go see someone. And if you have someone 30 minutes away, count your blessings because not everybody does. And so it's worth it. Get it done.
Great. I think that that is exactly what I've always said too. So, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely much easier when you're younger. And
Yes.
I'm just grateful that it still works when you're older too.
Yeah, for sure. And you just can't put a price tag on things like that. I mean, obviously they can with their time, but the benefits that you get are his or her entire life.
Yeah.
And they might not understand all the benefits at that age,
Hmm.
but you do.
Yes.
And they're more likely to understand when they have kids and they might actually call you and thank you someday.
Yeah, I believe that that's the case. And you're probably with teenagers not going to feel that for a little bit. But yeah, I think that,
No, he's told me when he was younger, he saw how much we did for him taking him down there. And, he's had braces too. And I told him, I think with all the therapy that I have paid for, the eye therapy, I think I've spent more than on braces. And I just really told him that mostly to get him to appreciate what we did for him. Because I think so many times we do things for kids and they don't really get it. But I think it's important that they know that you worked hard for this
yeah,
because then they appreciate it and they appreciate you and they learn what it's like to be a good parent too.
that's true. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story today.
You're
I think this will
welcome.
be really great for people to hear.
I hope so.
And I think it's powerful that you can express so well how you just can't put a price on it. I totally agree. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for listening to the Healing Our Sight podcast. I'd love to hear from you. Please share and also join our Facebook community at Healing Our Sight to leave suggestions or comments. Have a great day.